What's going on, everybody? Welcome into a special edition of The Wrap. We didn't do our usual Sunday show because, well, we really only had one game to talk about, but we have a lot of things about that game and about how the postseason of college football is going to be treated here. So Marv and I brought in a couple friends, and you guys all know these gentlemen very well, but TJ O'Sullivan and Seth Johnson joining us. Is it snowing for all of us tonight, actually, I guess, before we get started?
The snow has stopped, but the cold is still here. So
surprisingly, in Connecticut, we have yet to get snow.
Wow. Okay.
Not by me, anyway.
Crazy. We have what they would call a dusting of snow here, enough to make it look like it snowed a lot.
Enough to shut down schools for us, right, Marv?
I mean, I don't know about you, but our public schools were shut down today, and nothing had fallen from the sky yet. Typical Central North Carolina. People probably raided the grocery stores, and yeah, here we are. Now, tomorrow is probably the day that they need to at least have a 2-hour delay, but they'll probably make them go to school.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, our schools are already on 2-hour delays. So insane that we hit the panic button so fast down here. But like you said, could have certainly got a full day of school in today, but oh, well, that's on them, I guess. Seth, your area didn't go to school at all today, did they?
No, they're out tomorrow as well. Now, I'm sure this is like statewide, but now that the kids can bring their laptops home, like if there's any question of snow, they're staying at home. So, but they've almost taken like snow days away because they can do remote at home now.
Yeah.
So like when we were kids, you would get a snow day and you wouldn't have to worry about it. But now, even if it snows, they're still going to school, which kind of sucks. But
yeah,
tomorrow is actually a snow day, so there's nothing tomorrow. But yeah, winter's hit here early this year.
Nice. TJ, did you have a lot of snow days as a child in Connecticut, or was it like, hey, it's 5 inches, we're still going?
No, I mean, we had a ton of snow days, but it also used to snow a lot more when I was a kid. We don't really get a true winter here anymore. We get maybe one snowfall nowadays, and then it's just gross for the rest of winter. But, like, it's not that bad.
Interesting. I would have not thought that. How far are you from, New York City?
New York City, I'm just over an hour away.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Sam Talk Sports jumping in here. Yep.
Shout out to the Pioneers before we get started. 47 years since the last state championship appearance. So I meant to tell you boys this. I hadn't told you this yet. So I did tell you that the last play came down to a field goal, correct?
Yeah. We're tired of hearing that. Sore subject for that, fans.
Oh, well, a little bright spot. I turned around right before they called timeout, right before they kicked the field goal. TJ, in case you're wondering what I'm talking about, the state or Watauga County, where I'm from, where I went to high schools, playing in the state championship next week for football. Okay. And Marv, I turned around right before they kicked the field goal, and I saw that Corey Lynch was sitting right behind me. That was a good omen and what was about to happen. Nobody blocked it, but it went wide left and we won. So there was that.
Nice. So just his presence was enough to make him miss the kick, huh? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, apparently so.
That's funny.
Well, Sam Talk Sports saying in Texas, it doesn't even have a threat to snow. If there's a slight chance of freezing rain, they shut down the state. That's kind of what Marv and I see a little bit out here where we're at in North Carolina and the Piedmont Central. I don't know. We're kind of in between the Piedmont and the coast, if you ask me, but I don't know. Something like that. Chris Ward says this show is sponsored by Matt Roan's JMU Snowballs. I love it. I love it. It was kind of crazy being there Friday night. Let's just talk a little bit about the championship game, right? Like we'll recap just a little bit of that. You guys all watched it live happening. What was it like on TV? Because I honestly haven't gone back and watched it because I got to see so much of it up close that I haven't felt the need to necessarily go back just yet. But let's start with TJ. What did you think about that game? And, did it live up to expectations to some extent? Or what were your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll just say that I was experiencing the game half through the TV broadcast and half through your videos that you were putting out there. So I loved the sideline look. Yeah, I thought that it lived up to expectations. I thought that the spread. I think Troy was or JMU was set to win by 20 plus points, 23 plus points, or something like that. Um, yeah, I didn't think that it was going to be that close, or that far apart, I should say. I thought it was going to be a lot closer, and Troy stayed with it. Troy kept it close for a majority of the game, and playing some of their best football for 3 quarters, and JMU just pulls away as they normally do. So, I mean, all around great effort by James Madison, and they earned themselves a spot in the playoff as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. Seth, let's jump over to you next. What you thoughts on that championship game?
I didn't get to watch a lot of it. I was
Oh, you were at the
somewhere. I was somewhere, but I do a little off topic, but I do like the fact that it is on a Friday night now. Some more eyeballs on the game, not necessarily in the middle of prime time with competing with other conferences, but like TJ said, it was a close game, neck and neck to begin with, and then JMU finally pulled away in the end. But again, good for them. They got themselves a spot in the playoff. Coastal and baseball, JMU in the playoff. Sunbelt's just rolling here lately.
Yeah. Marv, you were like halfway there today, driving in the snow.
Yeah.
So good to see you safely back home. But what'd you think about that game, how it went, and how much you enjoyed it?
Well, first of all, it looked cold, like super cold. But no, it was is what you want a championship game to be, right? TJ said it. Troy came in playing really good football, kept the game really close, and then JMU did what JMU does, right? They hold an opponent to negative 26 rushing yards, don't allow any points in the second half, and it was still close. I mean, it was when that fumble was returned for a touchdown. It was a 7-point game at that point, but typical JMU football game. They're the champions for a reason. They played stout defense all season. I don't think offensively, besides Wayne Knight, who just absolutely had a phenomenal game. Barnett didn't have his best night. I don't know how the weather impacted that, but just a purely dominant defensive game from JMU. And, man, they're going to need that same defense to show up in Oregon here in a couple of weeks because they got their hands full.
Yes, they do. Oh, I lost one of us on here. But, hey, let's talk about that. Wayne Knight, the national player of the week, not just the Sun Belt player of the week, the national player of the week. Well-deserved. And I don't know if anybody has the stats up in front of them right this very second. He had –
I do.
Oh, there it is. It's 212 yards.
Yep.
Insane. I mean, I talked to people before the game a little bit, right? And I was talking about somebody right in front of the stadium and say, like, Wayne Knight, essentially the utility knife for these JMU Dukes. I mean, he can literally catch it out of the backfield, run it. I mean, the guy could probably throw it downfield too if he really needed to, but he's not a huge guy. I think, what is he, 5'7", I believe? Maybe that helps.
5'7", 190, yeah.
Yeah. Does that help behind the line when you're behind some huge guys and you just kind of sneak out of there in some extent?
Well, it's working for him.
Most part.
I mean, if you look at like App State's traditional great running backs, like Marcus Cox wasn't a huge guy. Kevin Richardson wasn't a big guy. I think there's something to be said for being able to hide behind the lineman, hit a hole quick, have thick legs to kind of get through arm tackles, and then enough explosiveness to take it to the house. So, hey, I don't think Ashton Genty's a big dude. I think he's, 5'9"?
I think you're right.
Yeah,
he's
no
like
more than 5'9".
Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is, but I mean 5'7", 190. I mean, I'm 5'7". To be 5'7", 190 and that athletic, he's a tree trunk, man.
Yeah. He's he walked into the post game interview section, and I was standing there, and I'm standing up, and he's walking by. I'm like, it's insanity that this guy's lighting up the football field like he does. Obviously, he's got all the tools he needs, and that's what makes him excel. But like you said, we talked about this past week, these guys that are 5'7" or 5'8" listed, really, they're closer to 5'6" or, 5'6" and 3/4. Like they're putting on the cleats and they're getting them to step on a little phone booth or some phone book to get that extra little bit to put them in the booklet for everybody. You know, like it's just crazy that he's not a big guy, but he just gets it done repeatedly. And to get it done in this game was just a massive help, right, to JMU as they finally outpaced him there in that second half. Let's get to some comments here. I do agree with Sam. Like Troy was standing a great chance with Goose back there at quarterback. Once he went down, that offense definitely stopped moving the ball as well as they had. I still don't think they win the game even with Goose, but I would say probably hold on to the ball and do a little bit better. I don't know. Does anybody else kind of agree with that or disagree with that?
I think you're right. I think they were going to probably succumb to JMU's defense at some point. But, I mean, let's face it, when your starter goes out of the game, the rhythm of the offense goes off. So definitely didn't help them. But I don't think that's the reason they lost.
No, I agree. I don't think it's the reason that they lost either. All right, we'll go Seth on this one first. Snowballs, right? Snowballs were thrown when James Madison came to App State a couple 2 years ago now, I guess, at this point, 2 seasons ago, I guess, at this point. And it was a big controversy, right? James Madison and their faithful had donated money to help, hurricane recovery efforts. They had come and been pretty gracious. Obviously, every fan base has a couple bad apples that ruin it for the rest of people, but the students and the players at JMU seem to have a little bit of fun with the snowballs before the game. Some of the faithful for JMU were not too happy with them being thrown, but I think they now understand, having hosted a game where snow was on the ground and their student section was throwing snowballs like crazy, one almost hitting the punter on a punt. Definitely probably affected him as it landed right beside him as he's trying to punt the ball away. Seth, thoughts on snowballs being thrown at football games in general and maybe specifically, with our teams within the Sun Belt?
I get it. What's 90% of the fan base doing before the game? You're tailgating, you're drinking a little bit, you're having fun. As we get older a little bit and we look at the game, as a fan, I say there's no need in it, and there's no place for it in the game. The last thing you want to do, unlikely that it would cause an injury, but if someone was to get hurt, then that's a whole nother liability issue. So do I think it's fun and funny? Yeah, absolutely. But do I think it's in the game? It should be a part of the game? Absolutely not. You bring in a whole another liability issue, and yeah, you're drunk, you're throwing snowballs, but one thing leads to another, and then there's lawsuits and somebody's hurt, and there you are.
Yeah, we'll go to Marv, and then I want to get the expert who comes from up north where he threw a lot of snowballs in the wintertime. But Marv, let's hear your thoughts on the snowballs, specifically Friday night, and maybe anything else you got to say on the subject.
All right, the only acceptable object to be thrown in James Madison is streamers. Everybody knows that. Anything else is going to be shunned. I'm going to kind of echo what Seth said. You got a lot of college kids that have had a lot of fun before the game, which you 100% should do if you're in college and that's your thing. It definitely was mine when I was in college. Just kids having fun. But if it affects the play of the game or, it injures someone, that's kind of when it crosses the line. So have fun, but don't be an idiot.
Dude, don't disagree there. TJ, thoughts on snow? I'm thinking you had to have like a high school football game where this was like a big storyline or a big aspect of it, right?
I mean, guys, I thought this was the Fun Belt, man. I really thought we were all about having fun in the Sun Belt. I don't know if you guys have your maps handy, but the region of the country that the Sun Belt falls in, they're not too accustomed to snow. I say, hey, it's another hazard. Go out there and play some football. They got pads on. It's fine. No, in all seriousness, no, I will echo the sentiment. It's, it's a safety issue, affects the way that the game's played. Aside from lawsuits, I think it will go, it could go down to like, if it affects a play and it ends up being a big play, right? Is there closure? Now we're talking, years from now about, what if James Madison, what if that snowball didn't hit our punter and they didn't, capitalize on it? Maybe that's a scoop and score. I don't know. I'm just talking on my ass right now, but just let the game be played on the field. You are fans. You guys stay in the stands.
Yeah.
It's also a bad look.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a black eye on the conference, in my opinion. That's your conference championship night, primetime night game. And you know what I mean? Maybe I'm wrong. But
I think
that's right. That's right.
I think the one thing that and this happened at App too. I have to be honest, right? And Seth, I think Marv, were you at the snowball game as well?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they did make announcements. Don't throw snowballs. We'll kick you out. Right. I mean, don't throw objects of any kind, but obviously they're really referencing the snowballs in that respect. At App, the setup's different. So they were real close to where the team comes on and off, and the students had a lot of access to the snow because of the hill, right? I mean, that was easy. This was a little different. It was all kind of dug out the bleachers, and the student section at JMU expands a lot higher, right? Everybody at App that's a student is down low. So they were coming from the top of the student section because, hey, you're not going to identify somebody way up high, and they're throwing them all the way at the field trying to reach the field. Here's the downside, right? They're hitting their own students. They're hitting their own band members. They're hitting some of their dance team. And it was bad enough. And I believe they showed this on the broadcast. If not, a lot of people shared it on social media. The AD came out onto the field with a live mic and said, please. And you could tell he was not happy with it. It wasn't like, hey, guys, stop throwing snowballs. Okay, thanks, move on. Like, he was really upset. And part of that is because the referees can throw a penalty flag whenever they deem worthy. And they probably should have on the punt, right? Because that one didn't hit him, but it could have very much affected the way he punted that ball. In the media interview afterward, he was asked about it, and he said, he did a good job talking it out, right? He just said, my job is to go out there and kick the ball, and I've just got to be ready for anything like that, and I got to do my job. When Jared Parker was asked about it, he's like, well, come on, my thoughts. So I think what that was trying to say was essentially he felt that the flag should have been thrown at that point. So specifically, if it doesn't hit somebody but lands in the field of play and possibly affects the play, let's start back with you first, Marv. Are you thinking that the flag should have been thrown, or are you kind of okay as long as it's not like a crazy situation?
No, I mean, if a warning is issued and it continues, then yeah, that warrants a flag. Now if it would have hit the punter in the helmet and that would have caused him to shank the punt or bobble it, then I don't know what the correct course of action is there. I mean, I don't think they can be like, oh, well, penalty, we're going to replay that. Maybe they could have, but if a warning has been issued, because we've all seen games where they've come on the refs come on the mic and said, hey, if you continue to throw stuff on the field, we're gonna throw a flag. Right. I think that was warranted. That probably should have happened. I think that the fans there would have known how big that game was. Obviously, knowing now them getting into the playoffs, like how big of a deal it would have been if that would have cost their team. I think you warn them, and I think it would have stopped. But I guess the AD, you were there. I didn't really notice it after the AD came on the field. But did the amount of snowballs decrease after that announcement?
I would say they decreased for sure. Yes. I would not say well, I can tell you for a fact they did not stop. All the way up till the end of the game when Dave Schultz and I from Locked On Sunbelt were standing beside each other. He was talking to me, and one of the wives or family members of one of the coaches, as they started to gather, right, when the game's about to end, they know they're going to win. One of them yelled, "Watch out," and one fell about 2 feet from Dave and I. Was it meant for us? Who knows, right? They're just throwing, I feel like, right? They're just throwing and they're trying to get it to the field.
Here's the problem. You tell drunk college kids to quit doing something, what are they going to keep doing?
Yep.
More of it.
Yep. So I will say that when Roan was on the mic and making that announcement, they were booing him incessantly. And then sometime, even while he was making the announcement, some snowballs were being thrown continuously. So it didn't stop. I have a great picture of the snowballs that are destroyed littering that end zone. But we got to get TJ's thoughts on this too. Would you have liked to have seen, and I believe this too, and I'll say this, I believe it's an unsportsmanlike 15-yard penalty, which would have given Troy a massive first down coming out of their own end zone in that punt.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I love the extent at which we're talking about Snowball Gate. But I love it. No, I mean, it's once there's a warning, once the warning has been issued, because you can't penalize a team before the warning. As common sense would tell us, you probably shouldn't throw snowballs at anybody performing on the field, which you paid to get into. But aside, you have to make the announcement. Once the announcement's made, I think any snowball that comes from the bleachers, you should. But if you're the head coach, you got to be pushing for that. You got to be pushing for, you see a snowball come and you got to be in the ref's ear. You got to be like, hey, you just made the announcement. They're still doing it. We're the away team. It's a penalty against them. Let's go. So, it didn't really affect anything, but once the warning is made, I think that there should be a flag thrown.
Yeah, I agree too, and I can't remember specifically if I think the announcement was made after the punt, right? Though, did the punt come before the announcement? Does anyone remember specifically?
I don't remember.
I believe so, but if I was wrong, it is what it is.
Okay. It was close, right? It was all in the first quarter. I mean, they made the announcements pretty much throughout the game. As Beth was saying right here, the snowballs, that wasn't her. That was John's comment, sorry. Increased deputy presence put a stop to most of it later on. Yeah, they did, try and get up to the stands. And obviously it got colder, like you guys said, which is Sam's point here. The most important analysis of the night has not been given yet. He wants to know how my ugly boots did with my toesies. The feet were fine, and the toesies comments comes from everyone who watched the preview episode with Delvin Joyce and Trojan Joe. Trojan Joe had listened to JMU To the House, which is Delvin's podcast with Bad Lee, both former JMU players, and Delvin Joyce, a former NFL player as well. He had a comment that said he was going to be in the club section to help keep his toesies warm. And Trojan Joe liked to pick on him a little bit for that. So my toes were fine. My hands were a little cold. And it was, I will say this, as I drove through Virginia to get there, the temperature was dropping during daylight hours. And weirdly enough, when I got back into the truck to drive home after the game, the temperature had risen. It did not feel like it. When I got out of the truck and made my way towards the stadium, I think it said about 28 degrees, 29 degrees. It was below freezing. When I got into the truck to leave, it was 34, which doesn't feel like that should happen, right? But got a little lucky because I didn't really want the icy ride home. And about the most dangerous part of the ride was really deer. There was a whole lot of deer, Marv. I'm sure you saw deer when you were up there in that Liberty, or have when you've been in that Lynchburg.
I saw zero deer today. It was snowing like crazy as I was leaving Lynchburg. They were all bedded down. Didn't want to be out in it. Neither did I.
Kudos to you, my man. That's don't sleep for sure. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah,
I don't know how you do it.
Sleep for sure. Yeah,
great segue into a sponsored segment.
Yeah, there you go, right there. Don't sleep.
Anytime.
It does work. I took one of the energy shots before I made my way back. Got home right at 4 a.m. The main reason I didn't stay, right? Common sense would have had me stay, but my son had hockey across the state in Winston-Salem the next morning, so I had to get back to help take him over there. So it worked out. I made it. It wasn't too bad. But yeah, I mean, the atmosphere was electric. I will say that. I will say, Marv, you put Seth and I into some pretty good seats for a previous championship when App State hosted Louisiana a couple years ago. App State likes to pride themselves on packing the stadiums and everything else. I got to be honest, JMU crushed it in that regard. More people, crazier atmosphere. And I give a lot of credit to probably both the Sun Belt and James Madison, right? Because they kind of come together in that moment for a championship game to put everything on. But the stuff in between plays, the stuff they put on the video board, the music they played, like all of it worked really well. kept the crowd engaged, right? The student section stayed later because they just, they played a Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You, and the place went nuts. They played the, put your hands up and shout. They put the video clip from Animal House on there. Everybody gets into that. I mean, it really was a great atmosphere, and I have to give full credit to the JMU faithful and the organization, the program, whatever you want to call it, that's behind the scenes making all these things work. And obviously, again, the Sun Belt. I mean, I thought that the presentation was really good. I don't know exactly how it looked on TV, but in person, I didn't have a single downfall. I said, wow, they really messed that up, right? Like, we've seen that other places at other times. This luckily was not one of those times. So, congratulations to James Madison as they get to the college football playoff. We'll get into that next segment here now. Here is, I guess, the final rankings as they came out, which JMU's sitting down there at 24, but it doesn't matter where you're ranked when you become an automatic qualifier, because of being one of the 5 highest rated conference champions. God, it's a freaking mouthful to say that out loud, but let's start back with Seth on this. I mean, first of all, any thoughts on where they're ranked? Like the 24 ranking, is that about appropriate where you think they are, or do you think they could have ended up higher here?
No, I don't have a problem with 20. Let's see. No, somewhere between the 20 and 25. I think that's fitting. So what's your question? Because we went about this all day long. And
well, first of all, I've been saying long time no see, Seth.
What's up, brother?
Of course, he's giving you a wolves up, but really the final ranking there, that being at 24. Okay. I mean, now you know that they're in the top 12 when it comes to the playoff itself. Right. Do you think 24 in that sense is appropriate or not, I guess?
No, anywhere between 20 and 25, I think is appropriate. I mean, you're a conference champion and you're where you need to be at the end of the day. So it's kind of irrelevant, but no, anywhere between that 20 and 25, I think is just fine.
All right, we'll go up from here. TJ, you're next. Appropriate ranking at 24. Do you think they should have been? Well, I doubt anybody thinks they should have been lower, but maybe somebody does.
I don't think that they should be lower. I thought that 24 was fine. You could make a case for 23 and flip them in Iowa, but at the end of the day, I'm with Seth. I don't think it matters. They're the next highest conference champion. If honestly, I'm not tapped into the Conference USA, but whoever won that conference, if they end up sneaking into the top 25 over James Madison, then I have a problem with that. But I don't have any problem with them being behind Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech had a tough finish to the year. Anywhere between 20 and 25 is fine. I'm with Seth.
All right, Marv.
I mean, obviously, it's irrelevant. They're in the playoff, right? AP poll had them in 19. I personally would put them ahead of Virginia and Iowa. I mean, it's all nitpicky, right? Like everyone's saying, between 19 and 25 is appropriate, but they're in the playoff, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah. My thoughts are, if you have them as a higher rated conference champion than the ACC, go ahead and put them above Virginia Tech and Virginia, because you're saying that they're better than the ACC. So I mean, I could see the argument for Miami because they didn't play and lose a championship game, and due to tiebreakers, they could have very well been there. So I'm not saying rank them ahead of Miami necessarily, but I could see you saying that they get all the way up there. And honestly, I think Tulane should be ahead of Virginia as well. Tulane went into a conference championship game and won the game. Virginia went in there and lost it to a 5-loss team. And if you're saying Duke's not good enough for the playoff, but Tulane is, then why is Virginia ending up ahead of Tulane? Again, these are all a little bit semantics and just talking points, but it just continues to show or talk about this committee and how they work things. So let's go backwards here. Marv, we'll start with you. How this committee operates and makes choices and ranks teams going into specifically here. I'll give you a very specific question to start with. Notre Dame and Miami don't play. But Notre Dame is ahead of Miami this past week. Until afterward, where these rankings come out, and now Miami jumps Notre Dame in a week when neither one of them play a game.
Yeah.
And they're saying that the reason for this is because they say they section these teams off into pods. So they didn't specifically match up Miami and Notre Dame head to head and take all that into consideration until they were in the same pod with these 14 pods. Does that make any sense to you? And did they do the right thing here?
No. So they had Notre Dame ranked ahead of Miami the past 2 weeks, knowing that they played head to head, 4 weeks, knowing that they played head to head, knowing that Miami won the game. It makes no sense. Notre Dame kind of, they took the football and went home, right? Like they weren't happy, and now they're not going to play in a bowl game, which I'll go off on a tangent on that here in a second. But no, it just you sent us a screenshot where somebody had posted that if Notre Dame was in a conference and they had conference money going to the NCAA, maybe they stay ahead of Miami. I think
going to ESPN.
Yeah, I think there's a little validity to that. I mean, let's not act like this whole enterprise isn't fueled off of cash, right?
Well, you also got to look. The AC. Did you see the? Sorry, I know this is Marv's 5 minutes, but did you see where the ACC? No, excuse me. The Notre Dame athletic director. Notre Dame has 23 teams a part of that. The ACC, minus football.
Mm-hmm.
And they got literally no help from the ACC for the last 2 months in this whole situation. More than anything, the ACC has been calling for Notre Dame to stay out.
I was going to say, let me interrupt you now. They were openly campaigning against Notre Dame. It wasn't they were getting help. It was the opposite of that. Go ahead.
Well, it's because Notre Dame. I mean, listen, the ACC is one of the conferences where actually basketball generates a good amount of money. But for every other conference out there, it's football. Football drives the ship, right? You're not going to allow a prestigious national brand like Notre Dame to be in the ACC because you won't give up your very lucrative NBC contract. They're going to hate on them for that. But going back to the original question, for the committee to, for 4 weeks in a row, have Notre Dame ranked above Miami because made no sense because Miami had won the head-to-head and then flip it at the last minute. That's I think they did that wrong, to be completely honest. I honestly think that Miami should have been ahead of them the entire time. If you're going to have them ranked back-to-back and one team beat the other, they have identical records, you have to have the team that won ahead. I think it was a terrible reversal. But, man, I hope we bring up Notre Dame not playing in the bowl game later because if you're an Irish fan, please turn the TV off.
Marv, if you're going to go down that road, you got to go down 11 other teams, buddy. Like, you can't just pinpoint Notre Dame on this bullshit.
Well,
because it's no. It's a problem across college football.
It is. But listen, and I'll go ahead and get into it now.
Okay.
For a program, look, listen, they have kids that bust their ass every single day in that program. Kids that deserve to be on a spotlight. They are going to get a really phenomenal bowl game. Yeah, it's not the playoff. That's the goal when you're a team like Notre Dame. But for the administration to make a decision that because we got our butts hurt and we don't feel really good about it, that we're going to make an emotional decision and not allow these kids that have earned the right to play in a big bowl game to play in it, I think that's bullshit.
Hang on.
How do you know the kids didn't say that? How do you know that? Mark, it's a business at this point.
It is a business, but listen.
It's a business. They have every right to say the heck with it.
They're not taking this away from the kids. They decided as a team that they didn't want to play. Then the reason for this is it has nothing to do with, that, we're taking our ball going home. I know that's like a huge, that's a huge comment that I'm seeing all over. The two people or the two organizations that are going to benefit the most from Notre Dame playing in the damn Pop-Tarts Bowl is ACC and ESPN. Two organizations that have just bashed Notre Dame for the past 4 or 5 weeks, past month and a half. It has been ACC. Miami has the head-to-head. They played 13 in a row, 13 renditions of that week 1 matchup between Miami and Notre Dame. Notre Dame feels slighted by the ACC. ESPN, as soon as those first CFP rankings came out, ESPN, why is Notre Dame ahead of Miami? And that should be the conversation. We shouldn't talk about Alabama. Let's talk about Miami, Notre Dame. and then they get the rug pulled out from underneath them, and everybody says, well, that was how it should have been all along. Whether or not you agree, and I agree that Miami should have been in over Notre Dame, and I am a Notre Dame fan. Okay, I'll put that out there. I'll be
your
completely
argument
truthful.
based solely on head-to-head?
My arguments, it's not solely based on head-to-head, but when you're talking about all of the metrics, they're so identical that you have to go to head-to-head. I don't care what week it happened in. And like I said, I'm a Notre Dame fan. I don't care what week it happened in. Week 1, week 12, they all matter, or else we wouldn't play them. Yep. So Miami deserves to be in over Notre Dame. But to say that Notre Dame is ahead of Miami, and specifically Alabama, is my main issue here. I mean, you're talking, they're at 9 the entire time until after week 12. Alabama goes on the road, and they say they really like when Alabama goes on the road, defeat a rival in 5-7 Auburn, whatever that means. And, they win by 7 points because Auburn has a potential game-tying drive where they're actually looking like they're moving the ball. Wide receiver decides not to step out of bounds. He comes back into the field to play, fumbles the ball. He hands the game to Alabama. And that performance was viewed higher to the committee than Notre Dame also going on the road to face a subpar rival and blowing them out by 29 points. Why do you flip
conference is Alabama and TJ?
It doesn't matter. They're both non-bowl eligible teams.
Conference is Alabama?
Well, let me ask this.
They're in the SEC.
They're in the SEC. Alabama.
They're in the SEC.
Who has the TV rights to the SEC?
Let me ask this question. I get the point of the only people that would benefit if Notre Dame played in the game would be the two entities that just snubbed them. But going forward, is that a good idea to snub to you're going tit for tat, right? It's like eye for an eye. I don't think that helps them in the long term. I think it just digs the hole a little bit deeper.
I'm gonna throw this out there. I don't know. Bama gets beat pretty soundly in that championship game, right? Like it wasn't really ever all that close.
Who did Bama get beat by week 1? By a lot of points.
Florida State
that finished below 500. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're still having this debate about Alabama.
Well, that's why I'm saying, to me, does everybody understand and get a little bit more, I guess, happier? I don't know if that's really the word I want to use here, but I'm going blank on anything else. What if Bama had dropped all the way out and Notre Dame and Miami both got in? Would everybody think that would actually make more sense here? Let's start with TJ. Start with you first.
Look, that's what I believe it should have been. Personally, that's my opinion. Both ND and Miami are playoff teams. I think that Bama, when they're playing well, are a playoff team. They haven't played good football in a month. I mean, they really haven't looked good. And this is, where we talk about every week of the season matters. Recency also matters. How are you playing heading into the tournament? You're down to your third string running back in the SEC championship game, which I will credit them with that. Losing by 21 points, but they were by no means a lock. They were by no means a lock heading into that game. And while I don't feel that you should be penalized for playing a bonus game, you still have to show up to play it. That's a 21-point loss. That is horrendous against a team that you beat, which dampers the win that you had against them. Yeah. So I don't know. That's my take on that. Like we'll continue to get my thoughts and opinions on this as we go because I've got a ton of them.
My question across the board: is the system flawed?
Yes. 100%. Next.
Okay.
Next question.
Piggybacking off that. Take your bias out completely out. Is JMU and Tulane playoff teams?
By the rules that are set in place now?
No. Is the system flawed? We all agreed yes. Is JMU and Tulane a playoff team? If there are no rules and you're looking at head-to-head on the year, you cannot tell me a JMU deserves to be in over a Notre Dame. No chance. You can argue that. No chance.
What I will say for the JMU fans that are in here, number one, that I think what Marv is saying, the way that it's set up right now, it's the top 5 conference champions. If you're talking about the 12 best teams, I agree with you, Seth, that Notre Dame deserves to be in over Tulane, over James Madison. BYU probably deserves to be in over them as well. And those are your 12. But, that the way that it is right now, 5 conference champions, the ACC kind of screwed this one. So that's just,
All I'm saying is
I would
JMU
just say form the question a little bit like does they deserve to be a playoff team? Yeah, they do.
Okay.
But
The
they're
reason I
not
bring this
one of the
up-
12 best.
Okay. Florida State was denied a spot because they lost their starting quarterback, correct? And they denied them because they said that this would not be a competitive playoff if Florida State was in, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And now we're in a spot where we have 2 teams that are in. One is a 21 point dog. Another one's a 17-point dog. If we're in this for competitiveness and ratings and the whole 9 yards, why the hell do we have 2 teams that are underdogs by 3 touchdowns and 2.5 or 17 points? It makes 0 sense.
Well,
Dude,
If that's the way we're playing the game.
It's
Look
like
at
rich
last
people that take advantage of tax loopholes, buddy. They're there, and it is what it is. Like that. That's the rule. That's the system. That's what we play by. Kind of like in the BCS, you had to have a computer tell you who got to play football, right? It's just the way the
It's
current
just
setup
not.
is.
It's flawed all day long.
Yeah,
It's flawed.
don't-
You're never going to get it perfect.
no one's ever going
It's
to get it
nowhere
perfect.
close
Like,
to perfect. That's the problem.
even if we expand to 24, teams 25, 26, and 27 are going to argue that they should have been in the 24, right? Like, we know that's going to happen. That's not going to be perfect. But Seth, to your point about the point spreads, people saying something's not going to be competitive, I'm not so sure, because look at last year's first round matchups between a bunch of power teams. They were terrible games. They were all almost 20-point differences. They were not enjoyable football games to watch. So now you've got a team in JMU and Tulane, not just JMU, right? Now we're talking about just the group of whatever we want to call them for now, both coming into a matchup where they're both greatly underthought of or underranked or whatever you want to call it. And they got a proving point. And how many times have we seen over the years an App State, a Marshall going on the road to beat Notre Dame, Northern Illinois, who wasn't even a winning football team that year, upset Notre Dame. We see these underdogs come in and actually play better because they're hungrier, and they've been hearing nothing all week but disrespect and the fact that they can't do it. And sometimes that creates the game to be a better atmosphere, right?
You know how many times we've seen this Ole Miss team go up against this Tulane team? Once.
Well, yeah.
And
Once this year. What was the score of that game?
We're getting a rematch of a 35-point blowout.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I do. Well, I think they should have avoided the blowout. Like, just switch JMU to Ole Miss and Tulane to Oregon or something. I don't know. Maybe because of the rules, they can't do that. But what I point to here now is everyone says, well, should Ole Miss get in without Kiffin, right? Kiffin's the one that got him there. Well, we're about to find out, because if Tulane ends up winning that game, that's going to prove what the committee had thought previously with the Florida State situation. Well, that was only a 14 playoff at that time. We got to remind everybody that. Had it been a 12, Florida State would have still been in the playoff. So that was the 4-team comparing to the 12-team. But if it's that big of a deal, and if it's that big of a difference, we're going to find out. And if Tulane upsets Ole Miss, then everyone's going to have that talking point and say, you should have left Ole Miss out, right? No one's talking about that right now, but they will be talking about that if Tulane springs the upset.
Dom, I love you, and I love your passion for this, but if Tulane upsets Ole Miss, I'm going to buy an entire set of App State gear. And I'll, that's how confident I am that that's not going to happen.
Hey,
yeah, well,
food for thought.
yeah.
If the system's flawed and we're making up new rules here, they should have James Madison playing Tulane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, one of the things on our prep email was, what do you think about expansion? What do you think about? I think I solved the CFP personally. I think I solved
There you go. Let's hear it.
And it's really not that difficult of a concept, and I'm sure that I didn't come up with it, but we expand the field by shrinking it. You get 8 automatic. Those are the 8 seeds. All 8 of your top seeds get buys. Your top 4 seeds get double buys. Then you have for your seeds, let me count really quick, 9 through 12, you have play-in games. So you have 15 going up against 16 to play the 5 seed in the first round. You get the 9 going up against the 10 to play the 8. You got the 13 going up against the 14 to play the 6, and the 11 and the 12 going up against each other to play the 7. With this system, your top 8 seeds remain the same: Indiana, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas Tech, Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Oklahoma. Those are your automatic buys. Then you have the 9 seed going up against Bama going up against Miami to figure out who's going to go play Oklahoma. You got Notre Dame going up against BYU to figure out who's going up against Texas A&M. Texas against Vandy, 2 teams once again that had a case.
Yep.
They're gonna figure out. I lost it. Play Ole Miss, and then 15 and 16 is actually Utah and USC. Now, if you wanted to, you could make Tulane and James Madison play each other in these 2 spots. Doesn't matter to me. But that opens up, because I don't think anyone outside of the states of Utah and California would care if Utah and USC missed the college football playoff this year. I don't think that either one of those fan bases, I think even most of those fan bases understand that they don't have a shot. So you flip them with Tulane, JMU. You have playing games to get to the 12-man playoff. That's how I would do it.
I like the setup that FCS has. You got to have a way that every conference champion gets in. Top 8 seeds get a bye. The next 16 seeds play each other with a chance to go play the top 8 seeds. It's inclusive. There's already a path. We've seen it. It works. And, that's what I see it going to. Now,
if you do that, do you still get your DEI hire with JMU and Tulane?
Yeah, they're conference champions, of course. They're conference champions.
All right.
At the first round, you use it kind of like TJ said. I like that, where you take if you got 24 teams coming in, you got the top 8 that get a bye, then you go 24 versus 23 and kind of round robin it like that. Have competitive games that first round, earn your right in to play the teams with a bye, and let it go. But here's the question I have: is the current media deal for the playoff goes through 2032? Can they edit the current system before that media deal is up?
Oh yeah.
Yes, they could.
I think they will.
They vote on it
They
again.
will.
They vote on it at the end of in January again, I believe is what I heard.
Yeah, I think you're right.
to.
I think they were going to vote sooner, and they pushed it back. If I'm not mistaken, if that's what I saw was accurate. TJ's asking if we're still fired up. I think we're a little fired up still here, right?
Oh yeah, we're fired up. Hey, but listen,
fired up since 9:00 this morning.
They would be dumb not to expand it, because what does more football games equal to the NCAA? Mo money. And for them, mo money does not equal mo problems.
No, that's the one entity where that is not a problem.
It's like we talked about this morning. You're still, if you go to 20 teams, you're 24. Still bitching about 20 through 25 at that point. I mean, we're always gonna have something to argue about. Somebody's gonna get hosed one way.
NCAA tournament, you got 68 teams get in, and you still got 5 teams like, oh, we should have been in. It's like, I had 68 chances to get in, man.
Just start the tournament halfway through.
Let's just do the field of 68 for football. Let's go.
Yeah, just start it halfway through the season. At Halloween, start it.
5 weeks regular season. Rest of the time, we're doing a tournament.
Hey,
there you go.
You have 5 data points. Let's go.
Yeah, but honestly, if they expand the playoff to any more, I think there's a case to be made that conference championships games go out the window.
They have to. Yeah. If you're also going to play them, right? Just last year, they said we're not going to harm somebody for losing a championship game. What did we do? This year, we harmed BYU for losing a championship game. We didn't seem to hurt Alabama.
Let's talk about this.
Alabama. They got blown out, but it didn't hurt Alabama.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, because that's. I mean, I don't understand how you can, 3 or more touchdowns, we'll say, is a blowout, correct? Is that the general rule, or is it 17 points, or is it, what would we say?
I think it's
I would say 3 touchdowns.
I think it's a mix between points, and because you've had some games that the team has got dominated, but the score was a little closer than what it looked like on the field. Losing by 3 touchdowns, and Georgia absolutely dominated Alabama.
Yeah, I was going to say, how about losing 3 touchdowns and being held scoreless for 3.5 quarters? That's a blowout.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 100%.
So explain to me why they don't drop a single bit, and BYU drops because they're in the Big 12 championship game, which puts Miami right next to Notre Dame. Isn't that convenient? Isn't that just way too convenient for that situation? They're talking about, when they're next to each other head to head, but now we're just going to continue to, we'll see if anybody notices if we put Notre Dame and Bama, we'll flip them. That's, and then we'll say, we'll keep Alabama where they are. We'll drop BYU, and now we'll put them right next to each other. It should have been Bama drops, Notre Dame goes up to 9, Bama with their 3rd loss slides out of the field, Miami comes in, then with the head-to-head, you flip them. Notre Dame basically stays the same. Miami slides in at 9. That's the only rationale that makes sense, but it's Alabama. And if you hold your phone, like if you're watching a game, you hold your phone right here, you squint your eyes and you put it way back here. Kalen DeBoer does look like Nick Saban. So, that's, I don't know. I'm extremely frustrated.
I don't disagree with that at all. I really was surprised to not see Bama drop it. I thought that yesterday was going to be the day that Tuscaloosa melted down when they were the ones that were excluded from the playoff.
Again, they weren't going to do it to them 2 years in a row. Last year, again, Notre Dame will get hosed again. It's power and money. What if Notre Dame just said the hell with it? We're just going to take our ball and we're going home. Bowl game, everything. We're just going to play independent schedule all year, and we're not. We're just going to do our own thing. Everybody breaks away again and does their own thing.
But that's true. The thing that they can't account for is those teams that they schedule could all just start saying, we're not going to schedule you. See, that's how you take the power away from Notre Dame in that regard and almost force them into a conference. When USC says, we're not going to play you anymore. When the ACC teams say, hey, half your conference schedule or half your schedule isn't going to come from our conference anymore. But they're also afraid to do that because guess what? Notre Dame puts butts in seats and sells tickets and brings media revenue to those teams as well. So it's like a catch-22. You're not going to have one without the other, and neither one of them are really going to start to pull that because the landslide does start once you go one of those directions. And so I think you're almost going to see a stalemate unless somebody has the monetized win for Notre Dame to finally say, you know what, you're right, we're going to join a conference. But I don't think anyone's going to come to them with that because they make so much money on that NBC deal.
My only argument, and I'm done after this, I'm sorry, but Notre Dame had 2 losses, correct?
Yeah.
2 losses.
By a combined of
4 points. And they were the first 2 weeks of the season.
Thank you. And they were two
Miami.
2 playoff teams, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
One being on a missed 2-point conversion, and I think Miami might have been in overtime. Can't remember.
No,
tell me how that resume compares to Alabama, Tulane, James Madison.
Well, once again, the top 5 highest ranked conference.
My argument is that this system is effed up. That's all I'm saying. I agree with you that JMU should be in to a certain extent. But my other argument is if this is all about money and fairness and the best teams are in, then Vanderbilt should be in. Hell, Texas should be in. There's absolutely no JMU and absolutely no Tulane. And I'm done. It's common sense. Take the bias out of it. No JMU. No Tulane.
Here's the thing you can point to though, Seth, and this is where it goes a little left field, but the argument does remain. Look at every professional sports thing, right? Like how many times have we seen NFL teams make the postseason with a 7-9 record because they were the winner of a crappy division, but they're still competitive, right? And then sometimes we've seen those teams go and win that first round matchup. It's how most sports actually work, right? The wild card has a couple teams in NBA is doing something crazy now. I can't even keep up with what kind of weird system they have for play-in games and how they run it. But here's another thing that no one's thrown out that I've seen and can work to some extent. What if you go to a soccer aspect? I don't really think this is totally realistic, but just an interesting thought. An aggregate score. You get a home game, you get a home game. We're playing each other twice. once that week, the next week, and then, you say, well, you won by this many points here, you lost by this many points here. Let's do the aggregate and tell you which is the better team between the two. Again, realistic, probably not, but just an interesting thought process to throw out there because it does work in the European soccer model. And I think even the MLS has used that in the past.
Well, here's the actual the conversation that myself and one of our writers, Kyle Nashheim, we go back and forth about this for years. I think that you're right, but I don't think that it's twice in a season. I think it's 4 times, 2 home games, 2 away games over a 4-year span. Then you take the aggregate, the top 2, top 3 teams, they get pushed up. The bottom 2, bottom 3, they get relegated. That's I think that's the word, relegated. But
relegated,
I think that's another option that we have here. You could have, your Division 1 FBS 1A or whatever, 1B, 1C, and you could continue to, go up and down. And every 4 years, everybody's got a shot to go up or down. It's not the same teams. It's like you gotta put the best product out on the field, day in and day out, year in and year out. Add some incentive.
Getting the damn TV networks to agree to have new teams and conferences every 4 years.
Well, it's going to happen anyway. There's 18 teams in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
it's going to happen anyway.
I've done math my whole life, and that doesn't add up.
Yeah, no, 18 does not equal 10.
No, does not. I hate that so much. I've always misunderstood, and I've even tried to explain that to my son, and he's like, "So there's 10 teams, and I'm like, "No, there's no. Well, there's more than that." At that point, they started off with this. You got the Pac-12 calling themselves the Pac-12 with 2 teams left. It's just
we can count on the Big 12, right?
Oh no, you can't.
No,
oh no, you
can't do that.
There's 16 in that one.
The ACC is no longer the Atlantic Coast, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the all coasts conference.
Yeah,
hold on.
exactly.
Plus Texas.
What's that ocean in California? That's not the Atlantic.
If you, like I said, if you're not looking at the land, all oceans look the same, right?
You're away with the conferences.
The water.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, Warren brings up a good point, and I've heard this one from a couple of people. Just schedule who you want and do away with conferences. I mean, that's one way you could have a much
point you may as well
scenario.
Well, I wish everybody was an independent. I wish that every single school got to do their own schedule like Notre Dame, and everyone was on an even playing field. But that's just that's too much work for each individual school, and this conferences have too much money. They're not going to give any power up at all.
No, I agree with that. But I mean, just as an aspect of what this could do is interesting.
Well,
but you're right. It's not realistic.
It also should be separated. You should take football away from every other sport because conferences work very well for basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball. It's football that it becomes an issue. And everyone's starting to, there's Notre Dame that admittedly they want the benefit of the doubt for most things. They want this, they want that. So take all the conferences and just keep them for non-football, and football do something that works.
Yeah. Well, Warren has a good point here. I won't spend too much time on this, but like if there were 12 undefeated teams, they all get in, or because of how these things are done where it's not all equal, would you put in some 1, maybe even 2 loss teams, right? Like he doesn't say that in his question. He just says 1 loss team, but would you say
2 quick comments to that in the current system, potentially a one loss team that was the highest ranked conference champion would get in, but with conferences, you're not going to have 12 undefeated teams, especially if you're playing conference championship games. It's going to be impossible.
There was this thing called the BCS. Bring that back, and
that thing
was problem solved again.
That thing was phenomenal.
Yeah. John's saying where everyone could just win their conference like every other sport. And they said, nah, let's reinvent the sport instead. It's true. I mean, really, this is the craziest scenario. Who was it? One of the basketball coaches, Rick Pitino, maybe. If someone, TJ might know this best, actually, being a bigger basketball guy. There was a basketball coach who was interviewed or asked about the football postseason. And he's like, think about if I was about to go coach a team in March Madness and I left the team to go coach another team. Like, the insanity that football is allows that to be a realistic aspect. And we've seen it, right? We've seen it all over the place in this postseason run. We've got a bunch of teams now who are going to go into this postseason with a different head coach than they had for the vast majority of the season. It's absolutely insane, right? We got this NIL portal thing. It affects the players in one regard, but coaches being able to move or essentially being forced to move before they're even done coaching a season in which they're having a good year. I'm not talking, we're not talking about coaches like 5-7 and getting fired. We're talking about guys getting stolen away from a winning team, and specifically Ole Miss here. Tulane, you're going to talk about that. James Madison's also on that list. Yeah. Luckily for those teams, not as big of a deal because they're not going to like a conference foe. We don't have a Marshall and Southern Miss situation on our hands this year. But that's another aspect.
There's no more beef there. It's Marshall
No.
and hate each other now.
That game lost all its luster next year.
It did. It did.
Really? Oh, man, that would have been so great in Huntington next year. But, I mean, Dom, you're right. Like, the system in general, not just the playoff system, but, if you want to keep coaches with teams, you got to move and let's quit calling it the NIL transfer portal. It's called free agency. It is what it is. You got to move that window back to incentivize players and coaches to stay with their team. Like, we might talk about this, like App's going to a bowl game, right? Because 7 other teams decided that they didn't want to go to Birmingham, Alabama and play. We're going to go play in a bowl game. You had 18 kids declared for the transfer portal before it opens. Are those kids going to play football?
Right. We don't know.
You'll have teams that are 6-6 and a lot of can you field a team? I mean, it's insanity. They've got to do parameters, but once again, as long as that money is flowing in, they don't give a crap.
It's true. Seth, you were going to make a point there, I think, unless you changed your mind.
I just had a question, and I know the answer because all y'all are homers. But do you have any problem with Chesney? I feel like if this was App, I'd feel like you stabbed us in the back. Go ahead and hit the road. Do you have any problem with Chesney sticking around to coach? You screwed us, so you're going to stick around and see what happens, and then you're out the door. I mean, it's bullshit. Let's be honest.
I will say this, having been there, right? I was in the room with his players on the podium with him after the game. I saw and heard all of their fans. They love that guy. They want him to stay. They never wanted him to leave. They don't look at it in the same regard as some of these other coaching situations. It is life-changing money and a big opportunity. Now, not everyone's going to feel that way. I know that. But what I'm saying is what I experienced was that those coaches, those players really seemed to love him. He literally picked Wayne Knight up, after he was named MVP of the game.
JMU? Those players are going with him. So good
I
luck
was
next
just
year.
going to say.
Possible.
Ole Miss,
he's going to complete your roster.
Ole Miss just nipped it in the bud. Yeah, they said, Lane Kiffin, you are not allowed to coach your CFP team. Get out. We want to keep our guys. We do not want you touching our players and getting them to transfer. Absolutely not. James Madison, you might see all of your guys get poached. It'll be good for you this time because you'll have your head coach coaching you this time around, and I'm wishing y'all nothing but the best in this game. But this might come back to bite you if Chesney decides that he wants to take his entire team with him.
Yeah, we saw it with Huff, right? How many players did Huff take from Marshall to Southern Miss? But, for me, if your coach is the one that got you there and he's transparent, because I think Chesney was fairly transparent with him. Like Lane Kiffin did the whole LeBron James drag out the decision kind of thing, and that probably pissed a bunch of people off. Plus, he went in conference. That's a whole other thing. But to have a coach that's transparent and says, "Hey, I want to be there for the players. I want to take this team. This is my team. I helped build this roster." I don't think that's a bad thing, and I don't think players can be upset because the second that players started leaving for money, you can't hate on a coach for leaving for money. I mean, let's face it. Going to everyone was pissed off at Scott Satterfield when he left Appalachian State. The money that Louisville gave him is generational wealth. You can't be mad at a guy who wants to go be more competitive, set his family up for life. Does it hurt? Yeah. Does it suck? Yeah. But can you be pissed off at him? Nah, you can't. At least I'm not.
If you're a loyal fan, then yeah, you are pretty pissed. And you're pretty pissed that the guy that got you here is leaving you after 60 minutes of football. So it's pretty shitty, in my opinion. I mean, I just hate where football is at these days. I mean, it's not your grandpa's football anymore. It's not waking up on a Saturday morning, going to Kid Brewer and meeting your buddies and playing tag in the field. I mean, it's not football is not fun anymore. You cannot, especially pulling for a team like App, and your roster's getting depleted every year. You're having guys sit out halfway through the year. It's not about small town football anymore. It's overpaid, minor league football, and it's not.
I don't disagree with you. The developmental aspect that a lot of teams in the Sun Belt have lived off of, like getting the kid out of high school that maybe was a little undersized and overlooked, and bringing them in and putting them in a program and developing them, and having a big time player. That stuff's gone, man. You get that kid at an App State or a JMU or anywhere as a freshman, and he stands out, he's gone. That part of it is not enjoyable because you're having a
prime example. Look at ODU this year.
Yeah,
they're going to get depleted. May even lose their coach. It just it's a revolving door every year. We can talk about football in the Sun Belt. Somebody's getting poached. Napier will be gone in another 3 years. It's just a revolving door. If you have a good year, see ya. The same thing. If this was an American Conference podcast, we'd be talking about the exact same thing.
Can we before we get to Sam Talk Sports, can you bring up the last comment that you flashed on the screen while we were talking there? Here's the only difference between this situation with Chesney and UCLA and Cignetti with Indiana. Let's just say for hypothetical purposes, JMU, which I actually think that they have a much better chance against Oregon than Tulane has against Ole Miss. Let's say they say, Chesney, you can coach, and they end up winning this game. They end up winning this game against Oregon, and they might not get any farther than that, but they've got a CFP win with the guy that was with them the entire year. There is a much bigger chance that they say, hey, guess we did that here. Wait till you see what we can do over at UCLA. Now let's flip it. Let's say they kick Chesney out and they still win the game under the OC or whoever they promote to play this game. They would be more inclined to say, hey, we did that here with this guy. We're bonding around this guy now who's still been around the team a whole lot. There's a chance that you keep a decent chunk of your players. So that's the only thing I wanted to talk about in regards to that comment. It's not exactly the same thing because James Madison last year or when Cignetti left, they weren't in the running for a CFP spot. They just left and he cut ties after the season, brought his team with him. That's what you're essentially giving Chesney the chance to do. You're keeping him until the very last possible moment. And you're giving him direct access to the players until the last possible moment.
Yeah, and I will say this: the one aspect of like if he was up front, which Beth has alluded to, right? Like they hope for more, but they knew it was coming. When he was asked directly, and I have to give him a lot of credit because I don't think any of the other coaches have done it this way. When he was asked after the game, directly after the championship game, with 5 of his athletes on stage with him, are you going to be the coach of UCLA next year? He didn't say no. He didn't say, I'll answer that another time. He said, we have a press conference at noon tomorrow that we'll discuss it then. So
good for him not beating around the bush. He's still leaving.
Right.
What's the point?
Exactly.
I mean, it's
no, I'm just saying, there's ways you can leave that still are going to have some people kind of on your side. They understand. Like if someone walked in here or walked into my job and was like, hey, I want you to do the same job, but I'm going to pay you more than twice as much. I'm following them out the door. Like I know Warren says I would take $2 million in Troy. I would take $2 million in Troy rather than 10 at a bigger school. We love our schools. That's why we do.
He's got a Troy helmet as his profile picture.
Listen,
how about South Alabama? Do you feel the same way about South Alabama?
Right, exactly.
No, I want
the answer to that.
I'm an App State fan. If I was a football coach and I was in App State making $1 million, I'm an alum. Like my heart bleeds black and gold. If LSU came and said, "Hey, you're making $1 million, we're going to give you 12. Let's go to Baton Rouge, boys. Get on the plane. Like, we're
really
out of
like
here.
purple now all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, listen, it's just the reality. Anyone that and Seth alluded to it, like if anyone thinks that loyalty means anything nowadays in the way that college football is, you're delusional. It's, delusions are granted, right? Like we all like to think our place is different. Come here and they'll never leave because this place is so special. You know what's special?
No,
Lots of zeros in your bank account.
you're absolutely right. And I get it. I don't blame Chesney a bit. I don't blame Kiffin. I mean, yeah, actually Kiffin's a snake. I don't like him. But I guess when this really hit home I guess when this really hit home for the three of us was when App was in their glory days and we were all at the championship game, and that bastard Satterfield who got us to the promised land. I mean, he's off to Louisville and he's taking the entire staff with him.
That's just
but then App did rebound and have a much better year after, with Drink, but it's hard. There's no loyalty anymore. Just football in general, man.
If you know it going in, you just set the expectation up front, and it is what it is.
There you go. TJ is coming on here as a former player who has admitted before App recruited him, he'd never heard of the damn place, right? They hadn't won national championships yet. So, like, he's among the first to really build the brand of App State. He says there's no loyalty among either players or coaches. And the amount of money on the line, can we blame them? And I would say, yeah, you're right. There's not I mean, go to these kids now. I mean, there's a lot of kids still that are playing at schools they didn't necessarily dream of playing for because situations put them there. And they start to love the school to some extent, sure. But usually, well, almost every time, you're recruited specifically by someone that you kind of like and you want to go play for them. So if there's any loyalty, it's probably more to a coach than to a place. I mean, does anybody disagree with that?
They're playing for the name on the back rather than the name on the front.
To some extent, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Like if Chesney says, I don't want you to follow me because you're not going to be a starter or something, I'm sure those guys would listen to him because they trust him with his opinion or whatever. But I'm sure as well, if he looks at Zaire West, who's a freshman star defensive player, and he says, guess what, buddy? I'm going to put you up at Westwood in an apartment that you're not going to pay a dime for, and you're going to be a starter on my defense at the highest level of D1 football that exists. What do you think that kid's going to do? He's not going to be like, well, I wasn't here at JMU. I think
Los Angeles than Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
I think it's also worth mentioning that, like, I don't think that any of this, because I think we're all pretty much in agreement here. I don't think that this is a saying that, like, there aren't kids that want to go to a particular school and want to go compete and care more about the team than the bank account. But, like, those are also kids who, just like the four of us, we've never been offered, 7 figures before. And, it will affect you. They could go in with the best intentions. They grow up, say, a North Carolina Tar Heels fan, and they want to go, and then all of a sudden Bill Belichick's coaching the team for some reason that we still have no idea why. But now he gets to go play for Bill Belichick and go for the Tar Heels, and this is great. And then Duke comes along, and for some reason, some Duke booster decided, we want to give you a $10 million NIL deal to come here for 2 years. He might have all the best intentions. He's going to jump ship.
Hey, the Sam Talk Sport comment, I was going to bring that up earlier and ask you guys, I'm sure you've seen it, but Georgia is suing a former player for their NIL money back. And I agree with that comment. If Georgia wins, I don't think it takes the musical chair game over, but I think it does set a precedent and it changes the game a little bit. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of hoping they win that lawsuit.
Hey, first of all, did your toesies get cold? Is that why you moved inside, Marv?
No, my computer is dying, so I had to come to a power source.
Just had to check that.
Isn't it crazy how we went from an era where we're suing kids back before it was legal to get money because they didn't go to – so the bagman, go back to the bagman. These kids are getting paid and then still going to a different school. And now it's legal and they're getting sued. I mean, it's just crazy where we've been in the last 10 years.
Let me ask this question, because we saw it happen, right? So kind of tie in Sunbelt and UCLA again. Joey Aguilar leaves App, goes to UCLA, gets a check, right? Mm-hmm. Then UCLA brings someone else in and gives them a bigger check. And Joey's like, well, shit, I'm just going to go to his school and get another check. Does he have to pay UCLA the money back?
No.
But
I believe it's paid in installments too. So what he got up to that day was his the key. So
which is like, you can comment on Joey Aguilar in that situation, but also what a boneheaded move by the UCLA head coach.
That was absolutely stupid. That's why he's
what a boneheaded move.
Did you see his interview?
You're paying him the money, and now you're saying we're getting someone better. Yeah, he's going to leave. You didn't sign a contract, which brings me to my next point. Just go to contracts. It's the easiest thing. Say you can work a bunch of stuff into this. You could say, we want you for a 1-year deal out of high school, or we want you for 2 years, and we'll redshirt you the first year so you don't lose your eligibility. Like, there are so many things you can throw into these contracts. Just go to it.
Hey, TJ, you want to put kids on 2-year contracts with buyouts like we do coaches? So if you get poached after the freshman season, the other team –
super random. Does anybody know what Huff's buyout was by chance?
I saw it posted, or I believe I saw what someone thought it was being posted, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
You mean they didn't have an athletic director that hired some random guy and was like, we're going to give you a $5 million buyout. I hope you do well. Sound familiar?
Yeah. One thing that I want to, and it's going to be a part of this case to some extent, although I do want to read Sam's comment because he knows more about this, and Marv does too, than I do right now. I don't think they're suing him for the money he got. They're suing him for the money that he was supposed to get, which may be the thing that throws the case out. And on my side of things, the important thing to note here is that there are collectives that can give money to kids, essentially a salary, right? That I don't believe that can be incentive based. But then there's a separate thing, which is the NIL, which is name, image, likeness, right? That's what we know. That money, if that's agreed upon, there can be no incentives attached to that NIL money. You can't say you get this check when you hit 2,000 yards. You get this check when you hit 10 touchdowns. That doesn't exist. You cannot tie any stipulations to an NIL contract. Now, with the collective thing, I'm not sure if that's different or if they can do different things with it. But with the NIL contract, legally, they cannot incentively lace that contract with anything else. So if they say we're giving you this money and you show up to school and you're there the whole time, I think legally they have to pay that out. But again, that has to be in writing because we've seen that stuff. Sluka at JMU was one of them, right? Went to UNLV, says he's transferring, he's leaving because he's not getting paid what he was told he was going to get paid. Why was that? Because apparently there was no physical contract ever agreed upon. It was a handshake agreement. So they tried to change what they thought or what they said they were going to give to him after the fact.
If it's not on paper, it's not real.
Hey,
exactly.
Seth, Southern Miss actually might have a worse AD than the one that you were just alluding to. You want to know what Huff's buyout was?
What?
$750,000.
Wow. Wow.
We were waiting 6 years for that to hit for Sean Clark.
$750,000. It was $1 million, but on December 8th, it dropped.
$750,000.
That's it.
I think if they fired Loggins, they owed him like 5, wasn't it? Something crazy like that.
2.8.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Thank God he's staying though. Thank God.
Hey, baby. He got us to a bowl game. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we're going bowling, baby. Hey, let's put it up on the board right now. Let's talk about it. It's not the playoffs, but it is a very interesting and intriguing fact that just happened. Georgia Southern qualified for a bowl, regular season, no question about it, 6 wins. Now here comes App State. Lost their last game. Arkansas State kept them from bowling. They missed the last-second field goal, and now they still find themselves in a bowl after, what was it? Is it 7 or 8 teams who declined before they got to the APR that got App in?
There are so many teams in this nation that are afraid to play Georgia Southern, and App said, you know what, we're not scared. We'll be there. We'll play them.
I think West Charlotte High School declined before App got invited.
What a spin that was.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess this all got triggered when Notre Dame said, "Hey,
Thank goodness App State stepped up.
If we didn't have the Birmingham Bowl, I don't know. As long as we have the Blackbirds Bowl, we're good.
Here's the question that I have, I guess. I mean, I know that App fans travel relatively well, but like this is deeper than hate. I mean, this can't possibly be as good, right? In terms of the environment. You think it's going to be better? Yeah.
I think it's going to be better. It's like I hate you in Statesboro. I hate you in Boone. Now I get to go to a whole nother state and hate you again. Like, this is pretty awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, I find it immensely intriguing, and maybe it's because I'm closer to it than average fans of just use TJ for example, Coastal Carolina fan. I don't know what you think about this matchup, so maybe we'll go to you first and just say, like, does the fact that they're conference rivals or just heated rivals at all, like, do you have more interest in seeing this game than you would if Georgia Southern played Ball State or somebody like that?
I mean, off the top of my head, and I'm just gonna hold on that question. I need to see how this game went the first time around. Yeah, 25-23 first time around. Georgia State won. Yeah, I'll watch this game again. As long as it's competitive.
I love the fact that you
just Southern not State. Southern not State. No, I'm gonna get in trouble. Southern not State. 25-23. Yeah, that's a highly competitive matchup. I'll watch that again, especially because I know that App State Georgia Southern is a heated rivalry, and it's one of the probably least talked about heated rivalries that exist in our sport. So, like, yeah, I'll watch this game again. And honestly, for these intents and purposes, it's the Birmingham Bowl, but it is a national stage. It's on national television. We get to nationally televise Deeper Than Hate. I think it's a win-win for both of these schools. Those are my thoughts on it.
Seth,
have they confirmed that they are not firing Helton? Like 100%?
I don't know if they've said one way or another, but I would be shocked if they did now that he's got this bowl game and he's not gone yet.
Hey, what if we beat him? They fire him?
It's a good question.
How about this? Whoever loses gets a new coach.
Here we go. Here's a Georgia Southern fan saying boo. I like that, Seth. Jason Marley, a Southern fan, says boo. I would assume I've seen some excitement from the Southern fan base, but I would assume there's certainly some people saying, I don't care. We already beat this team. I don't want to play them again, right? But I have seen happiness, that they're like, yeah, hey, we'd love to beat them twice. Plus, there's that intriguing fact here that a former App State player transferred, got the win on the field in Boone, thought he'd probably never see App State across the field from him again, and now it's going to happen in a bowl game in a city that, is far away from both of them. Well, it's not that crazy far from Southern, I don't believe. It's probably, what'd you say, Marv, a 6-hour drive, 6.5 from Boone to Birmingham?
Like 6.5 hours, yeah.
Oh, he's saying no to TJ's comment. Okay. So when Corman said it,
I was like, what did I do other than call you State?
Oh, maybe that's comment too.
Please don't cancel me, Jason. It was an honest mistake. I'm so sorry.
Hey, Dom, if you don't clip that and throw it on Twitter by the end of the night.
Oh, man.
I show up once every couple months, and you're going to get me canceled each time? That's crazy.
It was funny. I was talking to another one of my buddies about the game today. He goes, man, this feels like pity sex. You're going to do it because you're going to do it, but you didn't want to do it to begin with.
No. It's worse than that. You had to pay for it in this one.
Dom, throw the key up next to this episode.
Yeah, we got to clip this one heavily.
This is like when you go to Myrtle Beach with the boys again, over and over, and you run into that one chick. Like, might as well, I'm here,
No, I mean, listen.
No comment.
I've read a lot of people on like the app message boards, like, why are we doing this? Why do you play a game? Like, there's so many benefits to it, right? You get so many more. Yeah, money's one of them. You get more practice time with the underclassmen. You get a chance to put your team on ESPN, on a 2:00, which on a Monday, which isn't phenomenal, but it's bowl season, and you get a chance to go beat your rival and end the season on a positive note. There's too many positives to outweigh the negatives. Yes, does it feel like, that we don't belong there? Technically, we don't. We didn't have a winning season. That's how you qualify for a bowl game. But, man, anytime you can play football, you take the opportunity, you run with it.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. Let's wrap this up. We're almost an hour and a half. I do want to hit on and TJ's last comment, TJ Corman, who happy birthday, by the way. Shout out TJ Corman.
Big guy.
Happy birthday, man. He says the money in the transfer portal would be fixed if we went with Dom's, me, and my idea. You should get one free transfer, no questions. I totally agree. Yeah, that's why we said this. The second one comes under extenuating circumstances and needs to be approved by a committee, i.e. family issue, a coach recruited leaves. This would eliminate the amount of money being lost. Again, you get the free one. You made a bad decision. Didn't work out for you. You started headbutting with the coach on different ideas and thought processes for yourself. Okay, go on. You can do that. All right. You get one of those. Then where you go next should be your final stop, right? For the most part. But if something crazy happens, then you're allowed to leave another time. But that just wanted to throw that out there. I really agree with that too. It's still going to have movement, but you're not going to see. Yeah,
I would throw two other more requirements on it. I think if you transfer, you have to transfer for 2 years. And I think that there should be a salary cap. I think that if you want to make things equal, and you could make it generous, right? Like you could say, we're going to pay quarterbacks. Most you could pay a quarterback $5 million, but at least you could have everyone operating on a playing field. Because right now it's just who can write the biggest check. So salary cap, 2-year commitment, 1 year transfer, and I believe family issues are the guy that recruited you. But
I do 1 year.
I like that idea. But dude, how many kids are going to be on like their fourth college?
That's you can only transfer once.
Yeah. Here's a perfect example. Culp, the defensive back for James Madison, actually played for Troy, but that wasn't his last team. He was in Charlotte between that, and he was at another school before he played for Troy. So it's kind of a crazy situation. I would just point to a specific one there. Working out for him, right? He's ended up at JMU, good player, one of the star defensive backs, and obviously now going to the college football playoff. But that's not the usual circumstances. Usually you spin your wheels and, you're trying to find a place to stick because you haven't worked out anywhere else. Sam says, what happens in Myrtle Beach follows you home until you get home and get checked out at the clinic. So.
Call me after the show, I'll tell you.
Oh, man. All right, Marv, Seth, we've had our talking points.
This has been fun, boys.
TJ, anything before you get out of here?
No, that's it. I mean, disappointed. Like I said, Notre Dame fan. But understand that Miami needs to get in. Disappointed in the committee's decision for Alabama. Excited to see what James Madison does. It's just been a crazy weekend for college football.
Yeah, it has. We will be coming at you with more content wrapped up in bowl season. We've been doing stuff with Sam Talk Sports at the College Football Roundtable, which kind of helped give this, an idea. But really, it was the all-stars of this one were all these gentlemen on screen with me because they all pushed to get out here and have this talking point. I really enjoyed this one. I like talking this stuff out. We maybe do this more often throughout the season when we have stuff to talk about like this. But thank you for everyone to tune in. Keep following us as we continue to grow. Check out the website, sunbeltsyndicate.com, and we will see you next time.